rather than the sexting
Right.
chapter that he had signed up for, so
Yeah.
we thought that was, we're gonna
Yeah.
let him take it
So hopefully
away.
that's okay. I don't know what I was thinking when we signed up, but for some reason I thought it would be fun to talk about sexting, but as it got closer I got nervous. And so instead we're going to talk about this. I think this is applicable to something, to what we've been talking about in class, okay? So just to introduce myself a little bit, my name's Kyle, as we've said. I'm from Provo, Utah, okay? I'm here at BYU, obviously I love BYU, I love BYU sports, okay? I'm grateful for my experience here at BYU. I served a mission in Paris, and through my experience at BYU, I've been able to do a study abroad in Jerusalem, and I've been able to go to the White House in Washington, D.C. and meet with the president and some members of cabinet. And those are all experiences that BYU has offered me, and so I absolutely love BYU. Since being here at BYU, I've had a few defining moments in my life that have meant a lot to me. On July 23rd, 2018, just over the summer, is the first time that I told anyone that I was gay. I told my mom. And I actually thought it was kind of clever looking back. I didn't do this on purpose, but my text, I asked her if we could go for a drive, and she said, yeah. She said, I'll come pick you up. But I said, yes, just text me when you get here and I'll come out. And in the moment, I didn't even know what I was saying, but looking back, I'm like, oh, that's pretty ironic. But so that was one defining moment. Another defining moment a few defining moments have been conversations with students here at BYU who identify as gay and who are contemplating suicide. And after like two or three of these conversations, I kind of reached a breaking point, and I'm like, this is something that needs to be talked about. And the biggest moment, if you all know what Love Loud, I have a Love Loud t-shirt, and one day I was wearing it walking on campus, and one guy just came up and grabbed me and took me to where no one was standing, and he just whispered in my ear and he said, thank you for wearing that shirt, and just walked away. And so I hope we all can see and understand that there's people around us that are struggling, okay? And so with these ideas, I wanted to add kind of a purpose to some of the hard things I was experiencing, and I wanted to reach out to other people. And so on October 28th, just a few weeks ago, I posted a blog and an Instagram social media post about my experiences kind of growing up in the church, being gay, being here at BYU, and how that has affected me. And in that process, I'm like, hey, like there's probably more that can be done. And so I had a friend that ran the BYU Instagram account, and I approached her and I said, hey, would BYU ever be interested in having a gay student take over their account? Right? And I'm like, they're gonna say no. Like, this is a very tough topic to talk about. But they went and met with the administration and they said, sure, why not? And so for months, I had been meeting with the administration and planning this out. That's the idea. So on November 8th, just this past Thursday, we went for it. So hopefully you all know what a student takeover is with BYU. They post a post, and then throughout the day, Instagram stories talking about their experience, what it's like to be a student at BYU. Okay? So I was very nervous, very, very nervous, but I was very excited as well. And my personal goal in this whole thing was, I was very nervous, but I knew that if I was able to reach one student that was struggling, it would be worth it. So I kept that in mind, and I'm like, the sacrifice will be worth it if we reach one struggling student, okay? So I'm just gonna play just one quick snippet.
Well, I absolutely love BYU. I haven't always found experience because myself being a gay student, sometimes it's hard to feel like I fit in. But I've come to believe that I belong at BYU, and I'm excited to show you why I think that is, and why I think you belong at BYU too. I love all LGBT. Please.
Okay, perfect. So just for a little like understanding, so the BYU Instagram page has 111,000 followers, okay? And each story that we posted throughout the day received about 20 to 25,000 views, okay? And all I wanted to show in this presentation was just kind of some of the positive impacts that social media can have, okay? And so the response from this. Throughout the day, we had 546 messages on the BYU Instagram account, okay? And the most that had ever been messaged in a day before was 120. And in addition to that, we had 170 total messages on my personal account of people reaching out. The majority of these, 87% were very positive, supportive. 94 positive and neutral. Neutral, we'll talk a little bit about this in a second. But the biggest thing that was hopeful to me was on my personal account, I had 13 students, LGBT students, current students at BYU that reached out and said, that they were struggling. And 5 of those 13 had never talked before to any human being about their sexual orientation. And so that far exceeded my goal of reaching 1 student. So it was hard, for sure. Like 95% of the response was positive, but we had some negative. I think this was one of my favorite ones. So are we just gonna celebrate sin now? When do we get to see my view from BYU about the drunkard who gets hammered all night, or the chick who sleeps with every guy who she can get her hands on? How about the stoner kid? An expose on what it's like smoking weed at BYU campus. I expected better from BYU, okay? So I think it's important to remember technology, social media, there's always positives and negatives, okay? But what we chose to focus on and what I chose to focus on was the good, okay? We had dozens of, also it's kind of weird for me to stand here and like see my face. But there were dozens of people that posted on their stories about this. Tons of people that messaged and reached out, like we said before. I think this was one of the most impactful messages from the day. Thank you for your takeover and your recent blog post. I'm one of those silent sufferers finding my way through being gay and living my normal life. Thanks to stories like yours, I find motivation to keep going and learning more about myself. Keep up the good work. The world needs more of this. So just some more specifics, some very interesting responses we had. We had a lot of people reach out that were in the same situation, gay as LGBT members of the church or students at BYU. We had a lot of alumni reach out, okay? And something that was interesting to the administration was that there were alumni reached out that said that they would donate money to increase inclusion and diversity at BYU. And this came from people that don't like BYU and said, I would never donate to BYU in 1,000 years, but for this cause I would. I think, is this the same slide that I was just on? That's similar, okay? Neutral response, we just gauged those based off of like normal things that people ask, like, what is it like being a history student? What is it like being a communication student? And then again, some of this negative response. A lot of people had an issue with, which a lot of these are very valid issues, of this not being representative of every person's experience at BYU. And I hope you guys know that every person's experience is different. And I was just trying to highlight my own. A lot of people were upset that they thought BYU was using me as like a little pawn, like a PR pawn, which was interesting to me because it was my idea and I approached them about it. And it was also hard. I had some students reach out to me, some prospective students, high school students, saying, I'm gay and I'm considering going to BYU. Should I do it? And I was honest with them and I said, I don't know. I said, there's some good things, there's some bad things. But those were the type of people that we were hoping to reach. So these are 3 lessons learned that were taken to the administration, up to President Worthen. First, there's a lot of support within our community for LGBT students. Okay, that was the biggest thing. 95% of the response was positive. There's a vocal minority who are never going to be happy with what we do, no matter what progress is made, right? Those people that just hate BYU, that hate the church. But those unhappy minority, those unhappy people are not enough to dissuade or invalidate the experiences of people like myself here at BYU. So again, we reached our goal of 13 students. I just wanted to show just the last clip from my Instagram story.
I really like the BYU motto, enter to learn, go forth to serve. And for me, these ideas are very important here. I think it's important to first enter people's lives, to ask them questions, to get to know them, to learn about them, to love them. I firmly believe that we are all children of a loving God. We are expected to love and serve one another, regardless of any differences among us. So to me, that's what I would suggest. Enter people's lives, learn about them, serve them, and love them.
So I hope that you didn't feel like this was like self-promoting at all. All I was wanting to do was highlight the good that can come from social media, right? I've been able to, over the last week, I've been able to meet one-on-one with a lot of struggling students here at BYU. And I don't do anything to help them, but I'm able to point them to resources and to things that have helped me. So that's my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
Just a quick
Yeah.
question, what has helped you the most on campus?
Friends, people that are loving and that are non-judgmental. Throughout my whole process, like the most amazing experiences have been with like my family and like people in my ward that are like super committed to the gospel. So I think just kind of realizing it's not like these two extremes of like loving people and like living your testimony. But I mean, I totally think you can live your testimony and live what you believe, but also love. And that is what your testimony should be, actually. And so people that understand that have been I always tell people that like a loving friend and like someone that's there to like listen to your experiences is like nothing can get close to that, like no resources or no like, at least for me, I've found that to be the case.
Kyle, thank you.
Yeah.